The people celebrating 250 years. Here's this day in history.
We are counting down to America's 250th birthday this summer. We are sharing our We the People series, people, places, and things of the past that have shaped our country, and we have a prop today, don't we? What is this?
NASCAR.
NASCAR, baby.
This is a 1/124th scale die-cast stock car.
It's beautiful. It's still in the box, 1993 edition.
Yeah, the Hooters stock car,
There you
number
go.
7. On this day, April 1st, 1993, NASCAR driver and Wisconsin native Alan Kulwicki died in a plane crash. Known as the Polish Prince, he helped pave the way for other drivers who hailed from the northern part of the United States. Kulwicki had just come off a career year in NASCAR, winning the 1992 Winston Cup championship in an iconic race just under 6 months before his death. He was the first NASCAR champion to hold a degree and the first owner-driver to win a championship since 1979. Kulwicki grew up in Greenfield, Wisconsin, and graduated from UW-Madison with a degree in mechanical engineering. He would start in NASCAR in the 1980s, eventually moving to North Carolina. He was dubbed the Polish Prince, famous for the Polish victory lap after winning races. That entailed him driving a lap the wrong way around the track. Kulwicki was just 38 years old when he was killed in a plane crash near Bristol, Tennessee. He's been immortalized in many ways since, including a park named after him in his hometown of Greenfield. That's this day in history for April 1st.
Talented driver, sad ending to his life right there, but hey, if you're not first, you're last.
Pretty smart guy as well,
Yeah,
mechanical engineer.
Wow, yeah. All right, Charlie, thank you for that.